This is Up for Debate, episode number 261, recorded August 24th, 2023. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Up for Debate. It is our Cherry Coke Summer, our continuing film festival of One Harrison Ford. I'm Sean Jennings, joined by a man who's like a brother to me, to the point where I would absolutely track down to kill the man who killed him. It's Matt Mariani. Hello, Matt.
Oh, thank you for the
I,
kind
I,
words,
I
Sean.
would I would get your revenge.
All right, I would see to it that you did, especially if that revenge was from the Irish.
Yeah, well, we're basically Irish brothers. I mean, let's be real here.
Yeah,
There's no one more Irish
definitely.
than us.
No, no. I think we made that claim. We said that last week was our most Jewish episode, right? When we talked about so the Frisco Kid. I think this is going to be our most Irish episode. Unless we ever do a St. Patty's Day episode? No.
Somehow we didn't get to that yet.
That eluded us. Okay, because that's usually because it's March Madness, and I usually have you playing text adventure games. So
Yes, but none
um,
about leprechauns. So
no, not none yet, not yet. But March Madness is right around the corner. So
good
hold
lord.
that thought. Hold that thought. Um, but yeah, our film in this week, the Harrison Ford's Cherry Coke Summer. We are continuing with all movies Harrison Ford has been in, with the exception of Star Wars and Indiana Jones films. Kind of trying to hit the main films here. And our next on our list is Patriot Games, the 1992 action thriller starring Harrison Ford as Jack Ryan,
As
who I up until doing research for this episode and watching the film, did not know that he was like a Bond style character. He's like a recurring character, and just not never really got into a lot of Tom Clancy as a kid. I don't know, so or as an adult.
yeah, you're not the key Jack Ryan demographic of people who buy books at airports.
Yes, I think it's followed by it's him and what Dave Baldacci, is he the other airport book guy?
Oh yeah, all those guys,
His
Michael
law book,
Crichton, and
yeah.
yeah.
Uh, classic book airport book purchase. We were just talking off camera before the recording about how many airports we've both seen this. At least how many I've seen this summer. I think you probably saw your fair share. Have you ever bought a book in an airport?
I have not. I'm
I
usually
don't.
well prepared.
I don't really think I have either. Now that I think about
But
it.
to be fair, my taste in books is so ultra specific that
Hmm.
I also think I wouldn't find a book at an airport. You know what I mean? I'm not the like
Right.
I doubt I could go to a limited selection bookstore and find something.
No. I thought about buying one in one of the myriad countries that I was in, just like buying a book. I was in all over Central Europe recently, and like just to have, just to be like, I have this book in German, I have this book in Czech. It's Harry Potter, but it's the Czech version. I think that would be kind of like a fun conversation piece. I didn't end up doing it though. We just kind of never found the time to. But uh, airport books, no, I usually stay away from the. I mean, in the day and age, you got the Kindle, and you could put anything in the world on there. Finished up our summer reading on there. I read the blockbuster, uh, if the failing book, the big blockbuster failure book, and the of course the losing the signal. Finished that up too on the trip, so we'll have a lot to discuss there. But
Yes, I also read that on my trip,
yeah,
and I'm excited to talk about that as well.
yeah, good trip read. Um, all right. So Patriot Games. Where to start? Where should we start with this? Um, I guess we'll start with our star, with Harrison Ford. How did you think Harrison Ford was in this film?
Well, we finally, so last week, which was a while ago, we had Blade Runner, right? So we were talking 80s Ford, still a young guy, doing kind of a sort of out there film in Blade Runner, but most of his 80s was spent doing Star Wars and Indiana Jones films. We've now entered Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade was 1989, and he won't do another one of those until 2008. So you got about 20 years of non-franchise films for this guy, and as you enter into 90s Harrison Ford, this, Matt, is what I live for. Um, a little bit older, but not super old. Does action, but not over the top action. Doesn't really do one liners, but he still kicks ass. Um, but in general, he's just a decent guy. Like, there's not, I don't know, it's like the subtle action star you don't really get anymore in these types of movies. I mean, it's really, the 90s is where the term thriller really comes into its own as a film. It's not an action film, it's not a drama film, it's not a mystery film, it's a thriller. And that's why I was excited to see this one.
Yeah, for me, this is. I know it may be kind of a cliche, but I think this was Harrison Ford's breakout standalone. We talked. I think we used that last week. We talked about Blade Runner as his like kind of his breakout so like film where it's he's the main guy and driving all the action for the first time. I said last week that it was maybe Blade Runner, but after seeing Patriot Games, I think this is kind of where he matures into his own. Because Harrison Ford at this time is what? He's like 49 when he filmed this movie. Wow.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, well, and in
so
1993, the following year was The Fugitive, which I think by that point you're like, this dude's the guy.
yes. So I guess all right. I guess to amend what I just said, like I wouldn't say it's his breakout film. I think he's definitely had those by now. He's Indiana Jones. He's Han Solo. He's all these characters. But I think this is his like peak. This not peak, but like his, how do you say it? It's like his most. He's matured into this role, and he is now like his like established. Established is the word. That's the word I was trying to dance around there. Most established role for him is in this film. I think this is his the start of the Harrison Ford establishment right here.
Yes, absolutely. Well, and for the rest of the 90s, he's showing his range by bouncing between these genres. When you look at thrillers like Patriots Game, Clear and Present Danger, Air Force One, K-19, The Widowmaker, but he's also doing romantic comedies. He's doing Random Hearts. He's doing Sabrina. Um, but he's also doing straight drama, where you've got like Regarding Henry, and you've got What Lies Beneath, that's more of a horror thriller. So he definitely spends the next 2 decades really mixing up what he can do and bouncing between these genres. But this was really the first of his. I guess you wouldn't say it was necessarily his first thriller, but this is his first action thriller that really sets him into the genre.
Besides Ford, I know this is the Cherry Coke summer. This is the summer of Ford. I have to also though give props. I thought this was probably the best, one of the best, if not the best, uh, performances from Sean Bean, your namesake today. um, I thought he gave a like kind of a again talking about establishment roles. I think he kind of established himself in this movie, um, portraying the IRA, kind of the main antagonist. I'm looking for the person's name here. He is the plays Sean Miller in the film.
Uh, Matt, this is the second time we've had Sean Bean on the show. Do you remember the other time?
It was Goldeneye, of course.
It was Goldeneye. That's right.
Alec Trevelyan,
Oh, look at
Double O
this guy.
Six,
He remembers.
of course.
Sean Bean. He is very good in this. We'll get into the sort of details of the film and some of my likes and then my criticisms. One of my criticisms is that I felt like the movie didn't. I was interested in all the stories, right? Jack Ryan's family, Jack Ryan's CIA guy, the IRA guys. But I felt the movie didn't really balance them well. Because there were times where it was like they got too deep on the IRA when I didn't need them to, but then they didn't go deep enough on, like, the Sean Bean and his brother thing. We never meet the brother, basically. The brother's dead in the first
Yeah.
15 minutes of the movie.
Yeah,
And for him to take this whole film and make it about that relationship and getting revenge was a miss. While I think we spent too much time with some of the sort of back dealings of the IRA and, assassinating different people. And, was it the spokesman said it wasn't him, it was a faction of the thing. Like, I don't know. I felt that balance was off. I could have used more Sean B, I guess is my answer.
I would have to agree. Not only more Sean Bean, but I felt like the movie as a whole didn't really lean into the Irishness of this, as I think they probably could have. I mean, you have your protagonist, right? Jack Ryan is an Irish American CIA agent, and I feel like they could have probably, leaned into his. I mean, for all intents and purposes, though, it didn't really seem like that. It just seemed like he was kind of like a, if anything, just kind of ambivalent or toward the whole thing of the like Irish patriotism and the IRA doing what they were doing. I feel like they could have definitely leaned more into that, and like lean like into his inner conflict. It would have been really interesting to see some inner conflict with him struggling as someone of Irish ancestry, someone of Irish stock, um, being pulled in both directions. On the one hand, for
Mm-hmm.
Irish independence, on the other hand, for public safety and security. That would have been interesting. That would have. I don't know if they kind of played with that a little bit more. I think this would have been top notch, really top notch thriller. Other than what it kind of turns out to be, which is just if you like um, the genre, if you like the Tom Clancy genre, this is a pretty good Tom Clancy movie. But I feel like it doesn't really do a whole lot to challenge itself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Totally agree with you. That being said, I appreciated the IRA as a villain we don't see too often anymore. It was a nice little encapsulation of 1992, which I
Yeah,
certainly did appreciate. Very, very of its time.
of its time for sure. Yep. And this is I believe, a sequel to The Hunt for Red October. Have you seen that movie? Have you seen The Hunt
I
for Red
have
October?
not. I have
Yeah.
not.
Um, that one has the clear, distinct advantage of starring Sean Connery and him being involved in movies is usually a an enhancement of the movie, shall we say? I learned something interesting about Sean Connery, Reese. Oh, um, the movie The Sound of Music.
Mm.
Sean Connery was under consideration to play the role of the main dad in that. I don't know if you've seen the musical, the movie Baron von Trapp. Sean
Hmm.
Connery was apparently a leading candidate to play that role.
Wow.
I think the only thing that stopped them was he was kind of too big at the time. It was Bond, and the movie they thought was going to be a fantastic flop, so they did not they got They did not end up getting him. They got some other guy um, instead, whose name I'm just quickly Googling here. It was
Yeah, there's a rich
Plummer,
history in Hollywood of
Christopher Plummer.
Christopher
Yes,
Plummer.
indeed. Yep. But yeah, that could have very well been that could have been Sean Connery there instead. Um, but that was my Sean Connery fun fact of the day.
Um, so what else about this? Did you like now, Matt? Did you know that the film originally was supposed to be based around the assassination of the actual uh, Prince of Wales? That's how it is in the original novel, but they were replaced by the fictitious characters of Lord Holmes, the British Minister of State for Northern Ireland.
Who is that? Holmes?
Yes, Lord William Holmes,
Lord William Holmes.
not a real person.
No. Uh, yeah. You ever see the Crown? You ever watch the Crown?
I have not seen The Crown.
Okay. I believe they delve into, if not that, there is I think it might actually be the assassination of Lord Mountbatten. They
Mm.
do a segment, definitely a portrayal of that, one of the episodes. Lord Mountbatten being played expertly by famous actor who was in Game of Thrones. If you know, it was Charles Dance.
Mm.
Charles Dance, awesome, kind of that very British, very staunch kind of character. So
Yeah, I think I will say I do appreciate this movie's um, commitment to spy craft, if you will, in a very practical sense. There is a lot
yeah,
of even at the non-Ford stuff in this movie, which actually there's a decent amount of stuff happening in Ireland, in South Africa, and some of these other locations. But where they're using the satellite technology, they have informants, bugs, nothing kind of over the top sci-fi as you would sort of see in more modern films, but certainly a practical. Now, is that exciting on screen? There's a whole scene of Harrison Ford looking at blurry satellite photos, trying to figure out what's in them. I wouldn't say it's thrilling, but um, there definitely was some cool stuff happening in a very realistic sense.
yeah. It's I think a lot of the Jack Ryan uh, collection seems to center around like a very kind of hyper realistic take on uh spy drama, and it's definitely not as bombastic, right, or as silly, or as incredibly over the top and tongue in cheek and all of the above as like a Bond movie. But it goes for the more if you ever get to see Hunt for Red October, it's definitely more of a slow burn, I guess. But they really they do lean into the realism, which is why that made the ending of the movie so strange with the like the high speed boat chase and the explosion. Like that seemed like it was taken out of the page of a Mission Impossible or a James Bond or something like that, in an effort to kind of spice things up in the movie's final act and resolution. But I don't know what the reason. I guess that they wanted to make it as thrilling as possible. They also had the like you mentioned, like the shooting the missiles from the screen, like that was all helicopter view and everything, all very kind of very high tech-ish uh,
Hmm.
for the time. So so looking at some fun facts about the movie, I didn't know this, but scouring the Wikipedia page here, Ford accidentally hit Sean Bean in the eye with a fishing hook during the movie. Actually, gave him a scar over his eye.
Yeah, it was actually while they were reshooting the final scene of the movie, the boat chase.
Hmm.
The original ending had them fighting underwater, and crowds hated it, so they actually reshot it with the explosion and all of that. It was while reshooting that scene that he hit Sean Bean with the boat hook. I mean, what did you think of the finale, Matt? Jack Ryan out on they attack the house. He goes out on the boat, chased by Sean Bean. They're out on the high seas, rain, storm, some fisticuffs. They fight. Sean Bean gets killed, and the boat explodes.
Yeah, little over the top. I think I I preferred Sean Bean's. Sean Bean has died many times in film, and I would definitely prefer. I think when the satellite crushing him for me was a top 10,
Of
but
course.
this one I think it might be just outside that range. Um, Aside from that, what else you have? You have other Sean Bean deaths. I think he falls off of a balcony, like some kind of balcony collapses in National Treasure. He like falls down like a big pit. If I remember that right. Or no, maybe he doesn't die. I think he just gets arrested. But
Yeah, he
uh,
does.
yeah, in Lord of the Rings, he gets hit with a bunch of arrows. He plays Boromir. Um, we should rank the Sean Bean deaths. I'm thinking, where else did he have a good? Oh, in is it Game of Thrones? Doesn't he gets beheaded? Is that him? Is he played Ned Stark?
I think so.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's him. Yeah. So that's a pretty good one. Um, yeah, he's been around in many ways, and he usually I think the game with Sean Bean is he usually ends up being either the traitor, the bad guy, or dies. It's like or any combination thereof of the three. He was in Troy. Yeah, so one of the common things the Google searches is what has Sean Bean survived in? Movies that Sean where Sean Bean doesn't die include the following.
Does he die in Jupiter Ascending?
No, no, that's on the list of movies where Sean Bean doesn't die. So spoilers for Jupiter Ascending. Maybe he does not die there.
That would be if you ever see Jupiter Ascending. That's a wild film.
You know, I have not.
It's absolutely insane. We definitely should watch that at some point.
Would
Do
you
a
like
whole
to
couch.
guess?
Hmm?
Would you like to guess the number one film ranked by MovieWeb.com that wherein Sean Bean does not die?
That's a really good question. Of films he's been in where he doesn't die.
So a film Sean Bean has been in where he does not
Does not.
die,
Does
and
not
it's the
die.
number one ranked according to MovieWeb.com amongst the movies where Sean Bean takes part in which he does not die.
Is it Pixels?
No, because I didn't even know he was in this movie, Sean. It's The Martian.
Ah, he plays
Yes,
Mitch Henderson.
The Martian. Yeah, I guess he was one of the guys on the floor. Uh,
He was a flight director who usually
yeah,
don't die.
Yep, Mitch Henderson.
Hmm.
Did not know that. Did not know that he was in that movie. You ever see Ronin?
Fascinating
Ronin was
stuff.
pretty cool.
I have not seen Ronan.
Solid
I'm
movie.
looking at his. I have not seen a lot of his films, unfortunately.
Oh, and I think he plays an IRA agent in that movie too.
I did see most
Mhm.
of Flight Plan, the Jodie Foster psychological thriller. I'm trapped in a plane movie.
Yes. Did we see that together?
Absolutely not. I really don't think so because that was
No.
what year was that? It was
I
2005. I didn't know you yet in 2005.
Oh, that was 2005?
Yeah,
Wow.
that
That
wild.
is way earlier than I Okay. I remember seeing that in theaters. I didn't know if we had seen that, but yeah, that was a long time ago. That
That
wow.
was a big movie.
That was quite a movie. I remember that was a yeah, that's a cerebral that was a cerebral film right there.
Yeah,
You
where
didn't
Jodie
know if
Foster's
the
like, "Where's
daughter
my daughter?" And they're like, "We
where's
have no
my daughter?
evidence your daughter was ever on the plane."
Yes, but then she is on the I don't know, spoilers for Flight Plan.
Well, yeah, Sean
She is
Bean
on the
was
plane,
threatening to
right?
blow up the plane.
She's in like the cargo room, right? The car
Yes,
she's in like the
essentially
cargo.
kidnapped, and they wanted to frame the plane exploding on Jodie Foster. I think.
Yeah, that it's been a
Um,
long time. I haven't thought about
yes.
that movie in such a long time.
No, it's definitely a generic 2005. In 2005, he was in four films, one of which included The Island, the very forgettable and very
Hmm.
expensive Michael Bay movie. The
God,
man works.
mid 2000s flight horror was a thing. Post nine
Yeah, is there a
11
Wikipedia category for that?
should be.
Films set on airplanes?
We had
Films
Snakes on
about
a Plane.
aviation accidents or incidents.
Snakes on a Plane. There's the movie where drunk Denzel Washington lands the plane.
Oh, Flight?
Flight
Well, what
that
was the
came
one?
out in
There was
2012. That doesn't count.
Oh, Hijack was the one that just came out on Apple TV Plus with Idris Elba.
Yep.
Mm. It's a popular.
It's definitely a genre.
Matt, I was going to drop some trivia on you here.
Yeah. Go
This
for
film
it.
came out in 1992. It was the 11th highest grossing movie that year, grossing $83 million dollars at the domestic box office.
Hmm.
Just beneath it, Bram Stoker's Dracula, The Bodyguard, and White Men Can't Jump. Can you name any of the top 10 highest grossing films of 1992?
What a year. Home Alone 2, of course, I believe came out.
That was number four. Very good.
um other than that, I got nothing. Was there a Terminator that year?
There was not a Terminator, but there is a franchise film. Actually, the top two are both franchise films.
Okay, both franchise films.
Yes. One is an
Um
action franchise, one is a hero franchise.
Hero really a hero franchise. Was it it was a hero franchise in the top
It was
in
the
the
number
like
one
top
film,
grossing?
actually.
The
The
number
number
one
one.
film.
Yes, sir.
A hero movie. And that seems early because that's like
1992.
was it Superman like Superman 2 or something?
No, no, most of those movies came out in the 80s.
Yeah,
This
that's
is
what I'm thinking. It's
Matt,
like
who's the hero for the 90s?
Kurt Cobain.
Yes, it was Kurt Cobain superhero film came out in
Who's the hero? I don't know. It was
a little
Mighty Ducks.
darker,
A little darker.
the weirder. This is the weirdest one.
Oh, Batman. Oh,
Famously,
yeah. I was okay. This is it's the Michael Keaton Batman, or is that this is too
yes,
late?
this is Batman Returns.
Batman Returns.
Yes,
That was in
$162 million. dollars.
1992. Batman Returns. Yep. So that was the
Yes,
number
sir.
one. Yeah. Uh,
Uh,
Danny
right beneath that
DeVito.
at number two.
Is the Penguin?
Oh,
Are the King of the
absolutely.
Room?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Danny DeVito, Michelle Pfeiffer,
Yep.
um, uh, Christopher Walken, of course.
Yeah.
Uh, I still stand by we should do Batman movies. And I know you don't want to do superhero movies, but God, they just span such interesting decades and genres, and
Sure.
I think that'd be interesting. Anyway, beneath that, Matt, Lethal Weapon 3 and Sister Act is number 3, and then also in the top 10, Wayne's World, Basic Instinct, and Aladdin.
Oh, Aladdin.
Yes,
Aladdin.
sir.
My Cousin Vinny, also popular 1992 movie.
Yeah, now I'm looking farther down the list, and there's some real garbage down here, like Stop or My Mom Will Shoot. The Lawnmower Man, Mr. Baseball, Three Jack, Pet Cemetery 2. Woof. Anyway,
Newsies. Mighty
you ever
Ducks.
see Newsies?
What a 90s era. Yeah, I have. I actually have seen Newsies.
I
Yeah.
love Newsies. Dude,
Good. It's good.
Christian Bale?
Yeah. Yeah. One of his earliest roles,
Absolutely.
carrying the banner.
It was a good one. I actually
Good one.
quoted that film in a college paper I wrote
Nice.
because it was Robert Duvall played who was the newspaper magnate?
I almost said Rupert Murdoch.
Yeah,
It was
close.
kind of basically of his time.
Not. Why can't I? God damn it!
Yeah, we're old. We have a hard time thinking of these things.
You can tell I'm getting to the
I keep wanting to say Rupert Murdoch.
Joseph Pulitzer.
Yes, yeah, Pulitzer.
Joseph, and he has a speech in the movie about how he's like gonna, I make the news and whatever, and then I quoted the movie in my paper about Joseph Pulitzer.
Very nice.
Don't know if I should have done that, but
just got to cite your sources, and then you're fine.
well, except it was made up for the movie. It's the real guy didn't actually say it, but
Yeah.
teacher didn't care.
We don't know that he didn't say it.
That's
He
true.
might have
Is
said
that
it
how
at one
quotes
point.
work, Matt? You
Yeah.
can just make up any quote, and if you can't prove that they didn't say it,
Well, it sounds
then
like you got to say it sounds like something he might have said. It's within character for him. It's within the basis of the character of the individual.
I'm going to start.
Within the basis of the character and capacity of the individual.
Quote, Sean is the handsomest man I've ever met, end quote, said by Matt Mariani.
Yeah, I
mean it's in the spirit of what he would say.
That's right. And it's something that I believe I have said on many occasions. So it wouldn't really be that far out there. Wouldn't be that far out the scope of reality. Sure.
Do you know that there's a list of famous Americans that worked as newsboys, and they include Joe DiMaggio, Thomas Edison, Dwight Eisenhower, Harry Truman, and Mark Twain, among others.
Looking back at the Patriot Games wiki here, they somehow Libyan terrorists are connected to this, and it just reminded me of, like, remember Back to the Future? Wasn't that like didn't?
Oh, sure.
Doc gets attacked by Libyan terrorists. Was it like late 80s, early 90s? Was there something really going down with Libya that, like, why?
Yes, actually.
Must have been a lot of
stuff. First of all, aren't
you
the history teacher?
Yeah, but I don't know everything about history, Sean. And this, I
thought that was your job.
That doesn't make me a encyclopedia about all these things. Although this was something we were both alive for, so maybe we maybe should know about it. But I specialize in ancient stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, Libya. I don't know the whole history, but yes, there was a bunch of crap going on around that time. There was because wasn't it they bombed the Lockerbie flight in 1988? It was right. Gaddafi and all of that. There was lots of terrorists and arms dealers and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, because they murder Doc, right? And he has to go
Well,
back
to
in
be
time,
fair,
save him.
hang
Yeah.
on though.
Hmm.
He did take money from the Libyans, promised to deliver them plutonium, which he did steal, but then kept for himself. Can you really
Yeah.
blame the Libyans?
No, I was gonna say no one here is blaming the Libyans. I think this was a Doc fuck up, but I think definitely definitely if you had to blame somebody, it would not be the Libyans. Not for that. Would you be interested in buying the soundtrack from the original motion picture, the Patriot Games?
Oh, I thought you were going to say Back to the Future. I actually think I do own the
No, that
soundtrack to
actually
that.
sounds like it'd be fun to listen to.
They've got well the score is awesome. I'm not a big score guy in general, but man, Back to the Future the score is so good.
Hmm.
Um, were there any hit songs on Patriot Games? Like what's even on
No,
the
Sean.
soundtrack?
Uh, no, but one of
Fair
couple of the
enough.
songs, the in 2013, a 2-disc expanded soundtrack album was released. It was limited to 3,000 copies. The album contains over 50 minutes of previously unreleased music, including cues by Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart and John Philip Sousa.
Matt, right now on Amazon, I can get you the Patriot Games cassette tape for $4.59.
Christmas is right around the corner, Sean.
I, it's a gift for now. It also has another $4 in shipping, so you're approaching $10 here. But still, I think that's a bargain.
I think I'm worth it. I think I'm worth it, but do not own a cassette player, unfortunately. Sad. One of
Dang.
my biggest shortcomings in life, not owning a
Well,
cassette player in 2023.
I'll have to settle for an audio CD.
Hmm. Um, if you had to make a guess, do you think Roger Ebert enjoyed this movie or not?
That could be a fun bit we do on the show moving forward. Guess the thumbs.
Yes.
Um, I think he probably liked it. I don't think he loved it, but I think he liked it.
Well, on the review aggregator website, nope. Rotten Tomatoes, by the way, gave it a 6.8 out of 10. But Roger Ebert called the film absorbing, while also commenting that Harrison Ford once again demonstrates what a solid, convincing actor he is.
Yeah, I mean, I think. Listen, this is not an awesome movie. It's not a particularly great movie. It's competently made. It's entertaining. It's totally fine. They don't make movies like this anymore. This is like, in baseball terms, it's like a double,
Hmm.
maybe a triple. It's not a home run. That's fine. Like I enjoyed how straightforward this film was. It was dare I say quiet. I mean, even the action was good. I mean, I think the scene where Harrison Ford is tailed by the guy, and then they have their little fight, and then there's the car chase. Of course, there's the big attack at the end of the film where he's going around the house and doing stuff. Like it wasn't really over the top. It wasn't like edge of your seat thrills. It was just good. Um, and maybe that's Harrison Ford's '90s legacy. It's just a bunch of good, solid films.
Yeah. Um, I'll be real with you. This movie definitely a lot of moments in this movie were triggering my ADD. I was very much out of found myself checking my phone a lot during this movie, and I don't think that's necessarily a measure of the movie itself, so much as it is a product of the time period that we're in. I'm not really one for action movies in general. Like if it's like constant action, which this movie I think the pacing was just right, but if it's constant action, I'm taking what right out of it. I can't really stay seated through in a movie that's inundated with these fight scenes. I just can't. I can't really bring myself to do that. But in a film such as Patriot Games, the fighting is kind of just right. But like you said, it's a form of like kind of quiet action, and I felt like I could allow myself to pop in and out of it and still kind of follow what's going on with the plot.
Yeah, and that's one of the fun things about doing the show with you is I kind of had the opposite, which is when I think about Blade Runner, like that was like a I'd rather watch anything else movie. Not that I didn't like it, but in terms of holding attention. But there was usually when we do movies on the show, I don't watch them all in one night. I usually will watch half, maybe a little more than half. And then usually like the night of the show, I'll finish it so it's kind of fresh in my head. I actually had to stop myself. I wanted to finish this film because there was just enough going on where it wasn't so action heavy I was distracted, and it wasn't so boring I didn't care. I actually felt from that respect, that angle, this movie was more up my alley. Now, of course, I'm not like most people, so take that for what you will. But that did work for me.
Are we ready for the Harrison Ford fun fact of the day?
Oh my God, absolutely! Play the
Fun
jingle.
fact of the night. Yes,
we don't have we don't have a jingle.
It would be
Yeah,
pretty
man,
cool
bring it on.
if the jingle were Harrison Ford humming the Star Wars theme song. I think that'd be a pretty fun jingle. But
maybe him just shouting, "Get off my plane!"
Yes. So, in 1998, People Magazine named Harrison Ford the sexiest man alive. Sean, can you name 2023's sexiest man alive?
Oh, that's a really good one. I don't even know that I heard this year. Paul Rudd was it like a year or two ago. It's not Paul Rudd, is it?
No, it is not, but that is a very good guess. I think he is near I think he may be second or third. He's near the number one slot. He is.
The problem is I'm going to name past years. It's not Idris Elba.
No, it is not. Only reason I know this is it was a question in trivia last night.
Can I get a clue?
Not get right.
Help me narrow it down a little bit here.
I can certainly give you a clue. He has been in movies with Paul Rudd in a particular franchise of movies. We should say.
Oh, okay. Well, that does narrow it down. Is it Chris Evans?
Chris Evans. That is correct.
Hey, good for him.
Nicely done.
Good
Chris
for
Evans.
him.
2023's sexiest man alive. And yeah, good for him indeed. Dude deserves it.
Yeah, I was about to say on Wikipedia they have the whole list. They do. This is funny. Yeah, that would be a good trivia question, is guessing who the list of the sexiest men alive. Adam Levine was named sexiest man alive in 2013. That's tragic.
That is tragic. I'll throw out a bonus fun fact here. Then now that I'm reading it, since we just did Patriot Games, fun fact was that Ford was always McTiernan's original pick for Jack Ryan, even as far back as The Hunt for Red October. When Hunt for Red October was being put in production, the director told Vanity Fair in a subsequent interview in 1997 that Ford was the actor that he originally had in mind for Ryan. But Ford was tied up with other projects, which led them to hire Alec Baldwin to play the very first Jack Ryan.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
How about this, Matt? I'll throw another fun fact on you. Harrison Ford was named People's Sexiest Man Alive in 1998. He at that time, at age 56, he's the second oldest person to ever become sexiest man alive. Do you know who the oldest was?
George Clooney.
No. George Clooney, who's been named twice, in 1945, at age 45.
Was not the oldest.
No, actually, Paul Rudd was the third oldest at age 52.
Then I'll say, you know what? I'll go with Colin Firth.
Colin Firth has never been the sexiest man alive.
Shocking. Absolutely shocking. Okay.
I will give you a clue, though. His name
I'm
has
just
been
naming.
mentioned on the show this evening.
He has been mentioned.
Yes. Think of sexy older man.
So the oldest. We didn't really
He
talk
won in
about
19. He won in 1989 and was the oldest to ever do it at that time. He's actually no longer alive.
No longer alive. We named him on the show. Okay. Got to be Christopher Plummer, right?
Unfortunately, not. Matt, would it surprise you to learn the
Sean
oldest,
Bean.
sexiest man alive is Sean Connery?
Yes, Sean Connery.
Sean Connery. You got it.
Had a feeling. Yep.
The youngest ever, Tom
surprise.
Cruise in 1990.
Yeah.
Anywho.
All right. Anything else left to say about Patriot Games? What's the next movie in the franchise? After you watch Hunt for Red October, you check out Patriot Games, then you go to
1994's Clear and Present Danger.
Clear and Present Danger, also starring Harrison Ford, right?
Absolutely, yes. And actually, a number of James Earl Jones returns. Also, his wife, who's the actress, I forget her name, Ann Archer. No, not Ann Archer. His wife returns.
Are we watching that one? Is that on the list?
It is not, although most reviews say it's better than Patriot Games. But that's totally fine. No, Matt, next on our list of Harrison Ford films, as we determined at the beginning of this whole enterprise, we're skipping way ahead. So we've done 70s Ford, 80s Ford, 90s Ford. Nothing worth watching in the 2010s Ford, or really even the 2000s, 2010s. We're going all the way to 2020's The Call of the Wild.
Wow. Fast forward.
Yes, we're skipping a whole bunch of very bad films. That is for sure.
We didn't put The Fugitive in there somewhere.
Yeah, Matt, and I don't want to throw you under the bus on this, even though you're the one who made the list, but there were definitely some. We didn't get The Fugitive. We didn't get Air Force One.
How did this happen?
We didn't get even, like I said, Cowboys and Aliens is a fun one. K-19, The Widowmaker is a fun one. Witness. Have you ever seen Witness?
No, but for all of these movies, I'm just saying, Patreon. This is what a Patreon is for. We watch those movies. If you want the Ford summer to never end, grab a cherry Coke and subscribe to the Up for Debate Patreon.
Oh my goodness. Well, listen, Matt. Sean Tember or Sean Tober or Sean Vember, depending on when I get around to it, is coming up. Maybe I just can. Maybe my choice is just to do more Harrison Ford movies.
More Ford, and then eventually he'll be on our show. He's got to. Don't pick up the signal.
Think so. He's too busy flying his plane into things to do that. So, fortunately, he can't join us. Now, Matt, we have to score Patriot Games on our patent-pending, revolutionary, industry-leading Ford scale of Fordness that you so kindly invented.
Do you have it pulled up there?
I did not write it down. so I rely on you.
I've got you. I've got you covered. All right. So for those at home playing along, our Ford scale goes from 0 to Ford. Ford. Harrison Ford. I think we called it a Harrison 4. The 0 is I'm in this for the money. And the 4 is the Harrison Ford. And then we got some cute little names in between. But I'm going to land for this movie for Patriot Games. I'm going to say, I'd probably give it a solid 2. I'll laugh it up, Fuzzball. That's where I'll land it. I don't think it gets the I have a bad feeling about this because I don't think it was really that bad. I think it was really very much okay. I'm not going to write home and say this is one of my favorite action thrillers or that it's genre defying or anything like that. I'm just going to say solid 2, laugh it up, Fuzzball, right there in the middle, right smack in between.
Very reasonable. I think I'm pretty close. I might scooched up a little bit and split the difference because this fuzzball belongs in a museum, and so 2.5 is my scale on this one. I thought it was good. I thought Harrison Ford was the best part of it. I mean, he did star in it, so he should have been. But I thought he was really. If I'm judging this as a movie overall in the grand scheme of films, it's fine. As a Harrison Ford film, I think it's good.
Yeah, and see,
like above average.
That's something that I like an issue. I think that we I mean, if this were something that we really did a lot in the future, I think we would ideally have 2 scales, right? We would have like how was Harrison Ford in this movie, the Ford scale, and then how the movie was in general. I think I would probably agree with you, honestly. Maybe I'll bump mine up to 3, just on the basis of how Ford. Well, I thought Ford was excellent in this movie, but you know what? It's a rare miss for him. You're not going to really see too many 1s or 0s. The guy is a known talent in the industry by now, by 1992.
Well, I was about to say there are definitely 0s and 1s. We just aren't going to watch them.
I was going to say maybe on the Patreon if we pop in Cowboys versus Aliens, maybe it's a different story. But I don't know.
Yeah, there's definitely some trash in his later years, and A Call of the Wild might be one of them. I have absolutely no idea. I have 0 interest in watching that movie. Absolutely none. But we'll see.
Call of the Wild. What was?
It was nominated for a Golden Raspberry Awards Worst Screen Combo with Harrison Ford and that fake-looking CGI dog.
Oh, it's the fake dog one. Okay, right. Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be weird.
Yeah. This is a big remake. It's been remade a few times.
Yes, Jack London's famous novel. The good news is it is basically all Harrison Ford. There's almost nobody else in the movie other than the dog, the CGI dog. So, I'm curious how this will go. It's a big question.
Movies available on Disney Plus.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Something to look forward to. Well, Matt, this episode of our Cherry Coke Summer is over, but the summer fun doesn't have to end here. If you haven't seen our previous Harrison Ford film reviews, you definitely want to check them out at our website, upfordebate.tv, or wherever podcasts are available. Just look for that purple icon. And, of course, the video version of us talking is available at our YouTube channel. Of course, you can get a hold of us at upfordebate.tv on Twitter, or X if you prefer. And you can email us, upfordebatetv@gmail.com. We want to know your thoughts. As said, we'll be back next week with Call of the Wild to wrap up our Cherry Coke Summer. But until then, on behalf of Matt, I'm Sean. We appreciate you guys being here. We'll see you next time for another Harrison Ford-tastic episode of Up for Debate.
Ford-tastic.
Ford-tastic.